For the past 20 plus years, the MDX has been a huge success for Acura and the best-selling three-row luxury crossover here in America. Now, last year, Acura gave the MDX a full redesign, moving it to its fourth generation, building it on a stronger, stiffer platform, and introducing a new double wishbone front suspension, which improved the ride and handling. Now, for 2022, Acura is moving on to the high-performance side of the MDX, introducing the MDX Type S. And to drive this vehicle, I'm actually out here in Napa, California, to drive what is a lot of first for Acura. This is the company's first ever high-performance SUV. It's the first vehicle to have an adjustable air suspension, and on the inside, it's the first vehicle to have massaging front seats, all while using the same 3-liter turbocharged V6 from the new TLX Type S. So if you guys have been waiting for Acura to build a high-performance luxury SUV, how does the new MDX stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, because it wears a Type S badge, you'll be pleased to know that Acura also visually changed the styling of this MDX model to differentiate from the more plebeian versions. You can see this particular one that I'm showing you is painted in Apex Blue Pearl. It's actually my favorite blue in the Acura color palette. It really looks well, of course, on the lines of the redesigned MDX. Let's start, of course, with the front fascia. The grille on this Type S model has been updated. It's what Acura has calling it an open surface grille. You can see the body color surround definitely visually makes it look different. You have slightly larger grille openings here in the intake. You have the large Acura logo there that hides the sensor for the Acura Watch full driver assistance system. And you also have a very large Type S badge there front or off to the side, which really, again, gives this car a unique presence to it. The headlights, you can see, these are the Acura chicane style Jewel Eye full LED headlights with an LED daytime running light. You have that chicane style LED daytime running light, the LED turn signal. And then down here, I really like this change here. For these side intakes on the front fascia, they actually made these functional and they're larger. And they're also gloss black. I think it looks much better versus the standard MDX. You can see down here, a lot of the chrome has been replaced with gloss black, and you also have these really nice LED fog lights. Overall, I think it's a really successful styling change, and it really makes the MDX look a lot wider, a lot lower, and just a lot more aggressive. So keep that in mind when you guys are comparing this to the base model of the MDX. Now, looking at the side profile, you can see visually the profile hasn't really changed. This is still a very large SUV. Remember, the MDX is now Acura's flagship luxury vehicle because the RLX has been discontinued. It has a 113.8-inch long wheelbase. Its overall length is around 198 inches long. So this is on the longer end. It's about the same size as something like the Audi Q7 and about 4 inches longer than a Genesis GV80 and a BMW X5. So again, keep that in mind if you guys are comparing this vehicle. This is a bigger car. Now, the one thing about the new MDX is it's the first vehicle to introduce the company's first ever 4-corner air suspension. It's actually standard with air suspension. It's in its regular mode now. You have around 7.2 inches of ground clearance. If you drop it down to sport, it lowers it by about a half an inch. In the new lift mode, it'll actually raise it up by 2 inches for a maximum of 9.4 inches of ground clearance, which again, that is a really cool feature. It's the first Acura to get an adjustable air suspension. I think it's going to be great for those of you who, again, take it off pavement or go through some deep snow. You're not going to really be going off-roading with a vehicle like this because let's take a look at the wheels on this model. This Type S version comes standard with 21-inch wheels. In fact, the wheels remind me a lot of what the MDX prototype looked like a few years ago when they first revealed that in that kind of matte finish gray. This advanced package version that I'm showing you has the gloss black, Berlina black accents with the machine two-tone look. They're wrapped in fatter 275 width Continental all-season tires. These tires are actually self-sealing. Acura says if you run over like a nail or something, and if it's smaller than 5 millimeters, it'll actually seal the tire around the nail and it won't require replacement or service. So that's something that I've never seen before, and I think it's a really cool feature. The brakes, of course, because this is a Type S, are also unique to this model. They're 14.3-inch rotors, and you can see there's a 4-piston fixed Brembo caliper. This braking system here is a nice upgrade versus the standard wheels or the standard brakes on the MDX, and you can see painted or paired with the fatter tires, these gloss black fender flares on this vehicle. It all looks really aggressive, and it really reminds you you're driving a special MDX. Now, a couple other visual styling changes. You can see there's a Type S badge here on the fender. You have gloss black on the side mirrors. You have gloss black along the window trim here. And then the advanced version that I'm showing you also gives you a gloss black roof rail here, which you don't get on the base version of the Type S. The panoramic sunroof that you also see above you is also standard. That's a really great feature that some of the German brands simply make you pay extra for. Now, looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see visually it hasn't changed too much. The taillights have a darkened appearance. They're a full LED design, just like the headlights, they also have a darkened appearance. I do kind of wish Acura would introduce a sequential design to the turn signal. That's something that I personally like. It's not kind of a deal breaker. And I also kind of wish that they would hide the rear wiper here underneath their spoiler. I think it would have given it a slightly cleaner look, but you can see here, there's one Type S badge at the back. There's a super handling all-wheel drive badge over here. In fact, I kind of wish that Acura had made the badges gloss black as well. I believe you can get that as a dealer accessory, but it really looked good with the rest of the gloss black trim. And then of course down here you can see the rear bumper diffuser is slightly different. Love that it looks sportier, and you have an active quad style exhaust system, which Acura says it is an active exhaust, but let's go ahead and fire it up so you can hear what the engine sounds like, of course. So I was really impressed with the way the TLX Type S sounds like. This, however, is a little bit more muted, which is what I expected of Acura because this is a family-style crossover SUV. Now let's talk about the cargo capacity, because remember, this is a 3-row luxury crossover, and it needs to be able to accommodate all of your stuff and all of the people that you might carry in this vehicle. You can see with the 3rd row seat up, which is standard, you get around 16.1 cubic feet of space. Acura says that increases to about 18 cubic feet if you actually include the underfloor storage over here, which is, you can see, fits 2 backpacks in here and some of our camera equipment. This floor also, you can see, you can take it out and you can actually rotate it. So if you've got wet items here, you can actually give it a hard surface here where you can kind of just hose it out. I think that's a really great feature. If you fold down the 3rd row seat here, which Acura doesn't offer a power folding 3rd row, this expands it to around 40 cubic feet of space. And then if you fold down the 2nd row entirely, Acura says you get a maximum of 71 cubic feet of space. That's on the low end. Acura says if you push the seats down and move them forward, you actually get around 95 cubic feet of space, or maybe they're also kind of including the floor space. But overall, it's pretty class competitive, and this is a really practical family luxury SUV. So now let's move on to the interior of the new MDX. Now, if you guys have been inside the regular MDX, this should seem very familiar. However, there are a couple of differences. Now, first of all, because we have that adjustable air suspension, Acura also offers a mode where you can have easier access, where it actually will lower the vehicle to help you get in. But I have it kind of set to its standard setting. When I first get in and look at this interior, you can see the light orchid with the Apex blue is a really nice combination. Acura actually offers up to 4 different interior colors, including a new azurite blue option when you get either the Tiger Eye Pearl or the silver exterior, which is a really nice option as well. Once I get in and shut the door, you can hear the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. You have that new Acura chime here. It even says Type S in the 12.3-inch precision cockpit display, which is a nice, again, little detail change that they do. When you want to get into the vehicle, you do have, of course, the standard Acura key fob, which is their newer key fob system. You can see there's a little bit of a red accent here, which is nice, along with a Type S logo. You can also get into the car via the Acura Link phone app, where you can lock, unlock, and you can also remote start it. What Acura doesn't offer, however, is a digital phone as a key feature. I'm surprised that Honda or Acura does offer that feature yet, but hopefully they will offer that in the future. Now, getting inside and starting the engine, you can see the start-stop button is right here where you'd expect it to be. And the engine itself actually sounds pretty quiet when it first starts up. The steering wheel, you can see, is power, tilt, and telescoping. The seats that I'm sitting in also are extremely comfortable. They're 16-way adjustable, and they also offer a 9-way massage function. If you guys go for the advanced package, which I highly recommend for the money, you have several different massages. There's an actual button here for the massage. The seats are heated and cooled. And you also have 16 ways on the passenger side as well, along with 3-person memory on the passenger and the driver's side. So these are all premium features that I expect in expensive European vehicles, and Acura is throwing it into this vehicle here. So you can see this is one of the most, sporty MDXs they've ever made, but it's also one of the most luxurious models they've ever done as well. Now, getting inside, let's talk a little bit about the materials in here. Now, first of all, there's beautiful materials on the dash here with the full real leather stitching here, with actually Acura calls it a French stitching. You have a lot of piano black plastic trim here, and you'll have some really beautiful dark matte finish wood, more leather over here with the contrast stitching. This all looks very expensive, and you also have real metal, real wood trim. Acura calls them authentic materials. If I was going to knock the MDX a little bit, it would be on the door panel materials. You can see the door panel on this model, you can see here, is just a soft touch plastic, although it doesn't feel all that soft here. I actually expected it to be stitched with leather the way it is on the dashboard. Down here you can see there's more of that beautiful wood and aluminum trim, real leather over here with the French stitching. So the lower part of the door panel looks expensive, but Acura I think missed the mark here by not stitching this in leather. More piano black plastic. There's a metal accented door handle over here. The window controls feel very high quality. They even slow down slightly before they actually close. And then the sound system in this model here is a 25 speaker ELS Studio 3D Signature Series audio system. This is one of the best sounding systems that I've heard. It's basically on par with the $6,000 options you'll find from Mercedes, from BMW, from Volvo. The speakers themselves actually are illuminated here in the front doors. That's the first time Acura has done an illuminated speaker. It's linked, of course, to their full interior illumination. Those illuminated speakers are included when you go for this advanced package, along with the upgraded interior illumination at night, which I haven't had a chance to see yet. In person looks really nice, especially when you guys compare it to some of the other Japanese brands. Now, looking at the steering wheel, you can see here it's a little bit exclusive on the Type S model. You have the Type S badge. You have this flat bottom wheel design. It's also a power tilt and telescoping feature. There's a heated wheel, which is included with the advanced package. It looks great, of course, with the metal paddle shifters that you find over here. A lot of the controls here feel really high quality and tactile. And I also like the fully digital here. They call it a precision cockpit instrument panel, which you can see you can customize it here when you switch over the drive modes. You can see there's normal, there's sport, and then if you click and hold it to the right, there's also a sport plus. There's a total of 7 different drive modes here. You can see there's also an individual mode, so that's something we'll talk about when we go into the driving portion. What you can't still do, however, is put your GPS information over here. I kind of wish Acura would let you do that, but you have this massive 12.3-inch display over here from their Acura True Touchpad interface. You can also see it has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. This 2-tier screen here, or the split screen, you can't actually make it a full screen, which I kind of wish Acura would do, but on the larger 12-inch display, it looks really good. You can basically control it from this little touchpad here. You can change the cards on the right side by doing that. And then right here with the CarPlay, it functions just like as a mouse pad, where you kind of have to scroll and like move the cursor around on what you want. The graphics look good. The system's pretty quick and snappy. Go back to the home screen here. You can see this is where you have the one-to-one positioning. There's what the Acura GPS looks like as it loads up. It's pretty well easy to use. The graphics look fine, but I kind of wish that Acura would just move the screen out further and give us a touch screen. Right now, they're all about that true touchpad interface, so I imagine they're not going to do that. This system just takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, it is fairly easy to use, and I like how at least it has wireless CarPlay. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there is your full 360 camera. It also has rear cross traffic alert, rear cross traffic braking. You can change to several different modes, and you can also adjust the brightness. This is a really good resolution screen, not quite as good as the best that I've seen from BMW, from Mercedes, where it gives you like a full 360 scan where you can kind of zoom around the vehicle. But this is at least nice. You have to at least go for the advanced package to get this full 360 camera, which I would recommend doing. Over here you can see there are traditional hard buttons for your dual zone climate control at the front. You have buttons here for your heated and cooled seats and the massage function. You can see just push that button here, push and hold this button here. It'll actually show you all the different modes of massage. Shaishitsu is probably my favorite. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but you can see, scroll down here, there's several different versions of the massage. The base MDX does not offer this. You have to go for the Type S with the advanced package to get the massage. And let me tell you, it actually works really well, just as well as the best that I've tried from Europe. So really love that Acura is now offering a massage seat function. It really elevates this cabin, like I said before. Now, looking at the rest of the center console here, you can see I really love this feature on the new MDX. Just push that. You can see there's a USB-C and a USB-A charging port. I don't love the piano black plastic trim here. It's just going to show a lot of fingerprints and scratches. There's a matte black plastic here with a regular volume knob, a tuning button over here. There's a wireless phone charging pad here, big cup holders, a little bit more storage over here, and then you can see over here there's a nice padded center console with contrast stitching, and then 2 levels of storage over here where you have another USB and a regular 12-volt power outlet, and this is also slightly illuminated in here. So overall, the storage is pretty nice. Above me over here you can see there's LED lighting, a sunglass holder over here, and then a massive panoramic sunroof that lets in a ton of light. That's actually standard, which is nice because some of the German brands make you pay like $2,000 extra. And then over here on the glove box, really quick, I want to show you guys, the glove box is a bin style. It's stamped, it's lined with felt. I also really appreciate this kind of metal accent for the actual handle. The pedals are also metal. So overall, the interior feels high quality. It has most of the features that I like. Even a heads-up display is included on this model. And it also has a ton of space, a ton of visibility, and it really can go toe-to-toe with the best from Germany, the best from America, and even the best from Korea. This is basically almost as nice as the last Genesis GV80 that I last tested. So if you guys were interested in buying a TLX Type S, but your spouse said it didn't have enough room for the family in the back seat, you're gonna wanna buy the MDX Type S because just like the regular MDX, you still have seating for up to 7 people in this vehicle. And let me tell you, the space back here is pretty nice. Let me get back here and shut the door. You can see the seats. They also give you the ability to slide them forward and back so you can kind of increase the legroom for the third row passenger. And at 5'7", Acura says there's about 38.5 inches of legroom back here. Now 38.5 is a good amount, but I have seen a little bit more from some of the slightly larger competitors. But you can see here the seat, this is where I have the seat to drive. I can pretty much get comfortable here pretty easily. In terms of features, there's also a good amount here in the Type S. There are manual sunshades over here, which is actually standard on all versions of the Type S. Materials here you can see are same as the front. You have a soft touch plastic here, you have wood, you have more metal speaker covers for the stereo system and some French stitching for the leather with contrasting stitching. And then over here on the center part of the center console, you can see you have your own rear seat climate control. So there's 3-zone climate control. You have 3-level heated rear seats back here, rear seat air vents, 2 USB-A charging ports, a regular 12-volt and a regular 2-prong household outlet. What I am noticing is missing back here are cooled seats. Now I know cooled seats is kind of a newer feature that I've seen in some of the luxury brands and even non-luxury brands, but at this fully loaded advanced model, I think it's a missed opportunity for Acura to include ventilated seats back here. In terms of the space back here, you can take this little piece out here to give you kind of like a captain's chair design. However, if you take out this right here, there are no built-in armrests into the seats, so this is really going to be removable if you want to have easier access to the third row. If you want to leave this in place, which I imagine a lot of owners are going to do, you can actually fold down this little partition here, and it gives you a nice padded armrest here with dual cup holders, a little bit of storage over here. And overall, the second row space is pretty good, but it's not quite as spacious as some of the best that I've seen from like a BMW X7. Now, getting back into the third row of this vehicle, Acura says that it's pretty easy. You just push this button over here. You can see that kind of hydraulically moves the seat forward. And then once I get in here and shut the door, whew. Now, I'm gonna actually bring this seat back so you guys can see what the space is like. Acura says there's about 29 inches of legroom back here. So you can, again, move this seat forward to give somebody like my height a little bit more space, but it's gonna eat into your second row space. But getting back here, you can see headroom is a little bit tight. Legroom, you can see my knees are kind of up against this, but it's not horrible. I could sit back here, so somebody who's my height or shorter could get comfortable back here. There are actually 2 USB charging ports back here. You have some LED lighting. This is pretty narrow, so you can't actually fit 3 people across here. You cannot do that, but there are some smaller windows back here, so it doesn't feel too claustrophobic. What I would like to see Acura add, however, are rear third row air vents. There are none back here, so if it's really hot or really cold outside, the third row passenger is going to be shafted there, and they may be a little uncomfortable until the rest of the cabin comes up to temperature. Now, because Acura has been in the process of Type S-ing all the things, I want to first show you guys what's going on underneath the hood of the MDX Type S. Now, if you guys have had a chance to see my review on the TLX Type S, this motor should seem familiar to you. It's the same 3-liter Acura exclusive twin-scroll turbocharged V6. It's a single turbocharger that puts out about 15.1 psi of boost pressure. So the engine is pretty much unchanged from the TLX. It makes 355 horsepower. That's an increase of about 67 horsepower from the base MDX and about 354 pound-feet of torque. Those are pretty healthy numbers, and this car should compete well against its German competitors like the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GL8, and the Audi Q7. It all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission. That's an Acura design transmission. However, they have strengthened the transmission and also designed it to shift up to 40% quicker on downshifts when you're in Sport Plus mode. Of course, being an Acura, super handling all-wheel drive is standard. It's in the company's 4th generation. It's one of the best torque vectoring all-wheel drive systems in the business. And while Acura doesn't quote a 0-60 performance, I expect it to be in the mid 5-second range. So we'll see if we can try to test that out here on this very quick first drive out here in California. Fuel economy is also rated to get 17 in the city, 21 on the highway. Please be sure to put premium gas in this vehicle. And since the MDX is an SUV, it'll still tow a maximum of about 5,000 pounds. As this one sits, it weighs in at around 4,800 pounds, so 200 pounds heavier versus the base MDX. So we're finally driving the new MDX Type S, and I've been really excited to drive Acura's first high-performance SUV. And as I sit in this vehicle, I'm confused because I'm sitting here getting a massage, which I've never been able to experience in an Acura vehicle. And I have to say, it's actually a really decent massage function. But I'm starting out, of course, with the vehicle in Sport Plus. This mode is a new mode for the Type S model. It amplifies everything. It puts the amplitude reactive dampers, adaptive dampers into the sporty setting. It also lowers the air suspension by 0.6 inches. So it's going to give you the lower ride height that you want. when you're driving sporty. And the one thing I forgot to mention under the hood is this car has these new active hydraulic engine mounts, which are going to smooth out the engine as well. It's already a smooth V6, so this engine revs to about 6,200 RPM. You don't really feel much in terms of vibration, at least for internal combustion engine standards. But I have to say, first setting off in the Type S, sadly it is raining here in Northern California. I don't know why Rob and I keep coming out to California. We might as well stay on the East Coast because it keeps raining every time we come out here. But it is a good opportunity to test out the super handling all-wheel drive on this car, which is standard. It can send up to 70% of the torque to the rear axle. It can do up to 100% of the torque to the front or to either side axle. So it does give you a more rear drive biased, but I'm not entirely sure how this is going to do when we launch the car to test out the 0 to 60 performance. We'll have to just wait and see, and if it's not as good as we'd like, we're going to have to wait until we test this vehicle back home, of course, on drier road conditions. But overall, I have to say, on this twisty road, this vehicle weighs almost 5,000 pounds. So if you're thinking it's going to handle like a TLX Type S, obviously the heavier weight's going to make a difference here. This is about 500 to 600 pounds heavier than the TLX, but I have to say the MDX feels good. This feels about as sporty to drive as the last X5 that I drove, with like the sport package and the 6-cylinder engine. It's a really great first impression. Feels sportier than the Genesis GV80. The Genesis is definitely tuned a lot more for comfort. That's kind of the benchmark for me, is that Genesis, and I'm really happy to say that this MDX can compete with that vehicle. It's really going to push Lexus, of course, to step up their game for the next generation RX, which we should see later this year. But overall, it's a nice first impression. Even in Sport Plus, the ride quality in this vehicle actually is pretty good. It's pretty smooth. Even though we've got these massive 21-inch wheels, these Continental tires, it's also a very quiet interior. So when you don't have the engine, on full boil with the turbos giving you full everything, it's actually a really quiet car. It has that dual personality that you expect when you're spending this kind of money and that you expect with a luxury car. In terms of the visibility also, the MDX is very easy to see out of. That's typically a Honda Acura trademark here. You have good sight lines out of the front. The pillars here for the A-pillar aren't quite thick. Acura Watch, their full driver assistance tech with traffic jam assistance, is all standard, of course. And Acura, they don't offer things like hands-free driving just yet. I imagine parent company Honda is working on that, and perhaps they could add that at a later date through a software update. But overall, it makes a great first impression. This is pretty much the exact vehicle that Acura needed. It's going to appeal directly, of course, to the American market for its space, its luxury, its performance, its technology. And I have very little complaints just driving this car on this road here, or just in everyday conditions. I mean, especially in the rain here. This is probably the majority of MDX owners are going to encounter these kind of road conditions with traffic, with terrible weather and stuff like that. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with how the MDX drives when you're just kind of driving around normally. Even in Sport Plus, you can kind of drive this vehicle in Sport Plus, and it's not too aggressive. The transmission, I'm noticing, does hold gears a little bit longer, but it's still a really nice place, and it's very, very smooth. All right, I have it in Sport Plus. We have it in Sport in the transmission. No wheel spin there, which is nice. All right, 0 to 60 in 5.51 seconds. That's not bad. Now that is going slightly downhill, it looks like. So I want to, so then I've got my fat editor over here who's easily adding 500 pounds of weight to the front. But actually, I'm impressed because this is about a half a second slower than the TLX Type S. I mean, it has that extra 500 pounds of weight, which isn't bad. Let's go ahead and try it again right here, though, because I want to just do one more run. We'll brake torque it again, still in the same sport modes. All right, that one was going a little more level ground. We got 5.92 seconds. So under 6 seconds, I was hoping it'd be like around 5.5 more consistently, but the first run was pretty good, although it was slightly downhill. That was a more level surface. So we'll just go ahead and take the 5.9, 5.8 run, which is not bad. It is going to be slower than some of the European competitors. It's also slower than the last Genesis GV80 that I tested with the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. I'll have to wait until I can retest this car back home for a full week when we can get it on a more, or at least a better road condition where it's not raining out here. But you guys notice the tires also aren't slipping, so they have excellent grip from these massive 275 width tires, which are 20 millimeters wider. Now, I want to switch over to just regular sport mode here. Put my foot down. You can hear the engine definitely sounds augmented. It's not quite as loud as I would like it to be, but it is a luxury crossover, so you kind of expect that. Pull the paddle here, you can see the transmission does do a decent job of rev matching on your downshifts. That one didn't sound quite as good, but put my foot down, you can hear it again. It's augmenting the sound. It also will automatically upshift when you don't shift right at the 6,200 RPM redline. I kind of wish the engine revved a little bit harder. The engine feels like it wants to rev harder because it's so smooth thanks to those hydraulic engine mounts, and just everything about this car just feels really well engineered. That's what Acura and Honda is really good at, is just building incredible engines, and this is no exception as well. I think the engine, the transmission combination is just a really great combo that should appeal to a lot of enthusiasts looking for something like this. Put my foot down here. Let's see if we can feel that torque vectoring. It's also interesting to see a boost gauge in this car showing us almost 16 pounds of boost when I have it on full boil. And it's fun. This definitely feels fun. It feels a lot more enthusiastic. The base MDX with its base 3.5 liter V6 just feels a little bit too much like a Honda Odyssey at times. Even though we have a new transmission, it doesn't have the low end torque. This, however, does have the low end torque, and also I have it in Sport Plus right now. Acura says that the downshifts are 40% faster. So I'm gonna slow down here let's slow down to about 40 miles an hour. I'm just gonna floor it. Definitely a lot quicker. It short shifts at around 6,000. Sounds good. It sounds good. It definitely pulls hard. Like, this engine is probably underrated, just like it is in the TLX. But on paper, I do wish that it had a little bit more. I still wish that Acura had given this vehicle like 400 horsepower and made it like a sub 5-second car. This is no competitor to like a V8 powered BMW X5 or a V8 powered GLE Mercedes. But it does compare well with the last Genesis GV80, which is, for me, the benchmark in this segment. So I think Acura did a pretty good job here. In terms of the fuel economy, 1721 is not great. The Acura is actually one among the more thirstier options in the segment. The BMW gets way better gas mileage than this. I think that if Acura had added an electrified option, this would have gotten significantly better gas mileage. Now, I can't comment on the fuel economy that I'm getting here because this is such a short drive. But I'll have to retest that when we get the vehicle back home. Just know that, remember, it uses premium gas, and with gas prices at over $4 a gallon, it's going to be relatively expensive to fill this vehicle up. But overall, I'm genuinely impressed. This feels like a world-class luxury car. It feels like it's worthy of flagship status from Acura. And even though it's not the fastest option, the Type S TLX isn't either, it feels incredibly well-rounded, and you get a ton of money, or a ton of value for your money, and I think that's what Acura has also, again, been very strong at. So it took Acura a long time to finally give us a high-performance version of an SUV, and I have to say, after spending the day driving the new MDX Type S here on this rainy day in Napa, California, I am relatively impressed with what Acura is delivering here. I mean, obviously, they had to move the MDX up market because this is going to compete with cars like the BMW X5 with the 6-cylinder, Mercedes-Benz GLE, a Volvo XC90, the Genesis GV80. And this vehicle here is an entirely well-done package. That's what I think Acura does really well. Under the hood, we have that 3-liter turbocharged V6, the same one that we use in the TLX. We got 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds, which I believe this vehicle will do faster. So I'm gonna have to wait until I get one back home to retest it, because I think it could probably break into the mid 5-second range in better conditions, and I'm not entirely sure if we're at elevation here. But overall, the styling changes, I think, are really good. I love it in this Apex Blue with the new front fascia, the new wheels, the new air suspension. I was actually really surprised at how well Acura did the air suspension. It raises and lowers a lot faster. It gives us a great ride quality, despite the fact that we have those massive 275-inch tires. And in terms of the size, this is a well-proportioned vehicle. It's practically the right size for a lot of Americans today, of course, with its standard 3-row seating, the fact that it offers a spacious second, third row, spacious cargo area, and the interior itself. The massaging seats are really well done. They're really comfortable and supportive. The premium Milano leather feels high quality. The dash has mostly nice materials, aside from the door panels. I think Acura could have done better. And really, if you guys are looking to buy this car, they're already at dealer lots now. And the problem with the MDX is, because Acura has moved it up market, it might be a little bit of a sticker shock for those of you who haven't actually bought an MDX. I think Acura has actually priced it well. The base model is around $48,000. However, if you guys want the Type S package, Acura will offer it in a base Type S and this advanced package trim, which it starts at $66,700 for the base Type S. That's of course going to give you the bigger motor, the air suspension, the 21-inch wheels, the upgraded look on the outside, on the inside. This advanced package for about $5,400, it adds a lot. It adds the 25 speaker stereo, the 360 surround sound, the heated fronts, the heated steering wheel, the heated back seats, the heads-up display. I would highly recommend spending the extra $5,000. This one here plus $500 for the Apex Blue. The stickers for around $73,500, which 73 grand is definitely a new stratosphere for an MDX. But I would also mention that if you're going to fully option in like a BMW, a Mercedes, an Audi, they're going to well be around $10,000 to $15,000 more. Really, it's the Genesis GV80 that's about the same price as this vehicle, but I do notice that the Acura is slightly sportier, and in terms of the design, they're both really nice looking. There are some things about the Acura that I like. There's some things about the Genesis that I like, but you can't deny at how incredibly well packaged and strong value the new MDX Type S is. So it's one of my top choices out there if you're looking for a 3-row family luxury SUV with a little bit of sporting potential added on. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2022 Acura MDX Type S. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.